Teachers of Educators by Dr. LaVonda Sin. Teachers cheating on standardized testing. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is the Chicago scandal in the 1990s. The author, Stephen Levitt, is an economist, and he wrote about, in his novel, Freakonomics, one of my favorite books, by the way, he wrote about the Chicago scandal in the 90s and how there were teachers cheating on standardized tests. We've all heard of this. But the biggest thing was the fact that the teachers got a standardized test and they actually changed the students' responses on the documents. He created an algorithm, and he discovered through his analysis that at least 4% to 5% of classrooms every year are cheating on standardized tests. That is one of the reasons we go through all the rigmarole that we do related to standardized testing and keeping it locked up. The next one talks about New York City, where teachers were cheating on standardized testing. Aggressive school investigators Edward Stancic investigated New York City schools, including a 7th grade teacher who placed the answers to a test by a pencil sharpener and encouraged students to sharpen their pencils frequently. And then the Atlanta scandal, you may have heard about this one. This one happened last year. More frequently, you see in these two, it's more about what you see at the school level where the teachers are actually changing the documents. But what was interesting about the Atlanta scandal, it started with the superintendent. The superintendent would get the data, the testing materials, because they all have to be turned into central office. Well, if the scores were not what she thought they should be, and I have no idea how she figured out what they were, but apparently she did, and she would send them back to the schools, have administrators as well as teachers change the documents. So it was discovered with this one, 44 schools were caught cheating, and at least 178 teachers and principals were involved in this scandal. I mean, it was horrific. Then you had the Las Vegas scandal, where 3 Clark County School District employees were on leave after an investigation into the Las Vegas elementary school. It led to, and the way they discovered it is they compared scores from one school year to the next, and they found that their scores had tripled. And so they started investigating, and they found out that teachers had changed answer documents. This deals with unethical actions and behaviors on the part of educators. This first one is Alderman versus Pocahontas in 2009. This was about a technology guru at the district level. He had his teaching certificate, and in 2006 they decided to make a change because they went through what we call RIF, which is a reduction in force, and they were in proration, so they had to let several of their teacher units go. Well, because he had his technology degree, they decided to move him to central office. Well, in 2009, they had another change in the amount of expenditures that they had, and so they decided that he had to go back to the classroom. Well, he was not happy with this decision, so he slanderized the school board and the superintendent publicly at a school board meeting, and he was let go in 2009 for this. And I'm thinking, and I'm seeing your faces, but I'm thinking to myself, most of this is common sense that we wouldn't do, but you would be amazed when emotions get involved. We've all seen it at the ballpark, how people behave. And so I guess he thought that he was being threatened, or his position was being threatened, and this is how that came about. Then there was another incident. This is on inappropriate websites. This is Stuber versus Gallagher in 2002. He had 3 things Stuber did against him. The first was he was allegedly accused of accessing porn from his computer website. Nice. The second was, and we know based on some of the things we've seen in the news recently, the second claim for him was that he had battered his wife in public. And based on what we've seen from baseball players and football players recently, we know that was not going to sit very well, especially in the education profession. And the third thing that he was accused of was that he reconnected. They had already discovered that he was accessing porn, and so they, in order to eliminate his access, they had restricted it. Well, he went back in after this was discovered and reconnected his internet and continued to access porn. So he was let go for these activities. Okay. Then we have some social media. These hit a little closer to home because they involve things that we do on a daily basis, both here at school sometimes and as well at home. This case, Rubino versus City of New York, this teacher had gone on a field trip. She was a 5th grade teacher. She went on a 5th grade field trip and came home and posted to her website. Now, please keep in mind, they had gone on a trip, and one of the students the weekend before, 5th grade, had drowned. And she came home and posted on her Facebook page, after today, I am thinking the beach sounds like a wonderful idea for my 5th graders. I hate their guts, on Facebook. Probably not the best idea in the world. And she was consequently let go once the Facebook page got out to parents and there was a board meeting. Then also some of the things that we do is, now I don't know of a lot of teachers that blog, but I do know that there are several that have their own blog spots. This is an open forum. It's not just open to your friends and family like Facebook. Blogging can be open to the public no matter who they are, where they're at, what's going on. So keep in mind this is an open forum if you post something on a blog. Also, unethical data disbursements. This is coming down the pike for our own district. I am on the board policy committee, and one of the policies that was recently passed on March 16th was the data disbursement policy, and this has to do with things that are printed on your computers. Anything you print out, there's a copy of it saved inside your computer as well as your printer. So making sure that we don't share data from one school to another via text, via email. This is one of the things that this involves. Also, the case of State versus Ebersole. Ebersole was a chemistry high school teacher, and he verbally communicated a harmful description of narrative account to a child. So this kind of makes it sound like, I was explaining this earlier, that he just communicated maybe not the appropriate version of a novel to the students. That's not what happened. He actually went in and posted in an internet chat room the things that he would like to do to some of his high school girls sexually. And so the board again found out, and the court went. He was let go, and he claimed that his personal chat room or where he was at the time had nothing to do with the school system, and the school system and the court said yes it does because you're an educator and these violate your ethical contract. As well, this one was Spaderman versus Hughes. It's equivocal to Facebook now, which was MySpace back then. Posting to the public. In Spaderman versus Hughes, Jeffrey Spaderman, a teacher at Emmett O'Brien High School in Connecticut, created a MySpace page. Supposedly the page was created initially so that he could communicate homework, answer parent questions, those kinds of things. It wound up that he communicated inappropriate information to his students, and he actually tried to start a business with one of his students, which we know is completely inappropriate. And he was let go in accord to that. Then you have the Board of Education versus Board of Education of New York versus Hershkowitz. Again, this was email, inappropriate conversations, and they're documented. Just keep in mind, anything you put on the internet, it doesn't matter if it's a chat room, your email, text messaging, whatever it is, once it's out there, it's out there. And that's one of the things teachers ask me about Facebook If you put it on Facebook, even if you delete it, keep in mind people can copy and paste back into their old pages. So it's never completely gone if you post it to Facebook. Or a website. I learned that the other day. Google yourselves. It's interesting what you'll find. You win any kind of contest, it's usually out there. If you're ever in the newspaper, it's always there. So just keep that in mind. Questions?